I do not remember my childhood. The first time I recall opening my eyes was when I was about 15. There was an intense smell of moss. I could see the sky through the branches of the forest in which I was lying, and I instinctively lifted an arm towards my face. I looked at my hand, stared at it for some time, moving it as if to test those new joints. I felt a burning in my left wrist from a scar that was not completely healed. I knew what I was looking at. I knew I was in France, not far from Paris. I also knew that it was 1740. But I did not know who I was or why I was there. I was lying on a smooth rock that stood about 1.5 meters out of the ground, like a pedestal created by nature to support my fragile body. A few minutes later, I had gained enough strength to stand and realized that I was completely naked. I was not afraid. I felt well. The first strong sensation I had was that of great thirst. I looked straight ahead of me and started to run, as if I desperately wanted to reach someone or something. I arrived at Boissy-en-Brie, a small village on the road leading from the woods in the direction of Paris. I arrived in the village exhausted, naked, and thirsty. It was a late spring morning. I stopped in front of the church of Saint-Germain under the puzzled gaze of the villagers. A priest, who at that moment was consoling a distressed elderly lady, ran towards me and covered me with the cloak from around his shoulders. "Who are you, boy?" asked the man, who must have been about 30. I spoke my first words between one labored breath and the next, with a dry throat, but in perfect French. "I have no idea, sir. I woke up in the woods. Something in my heart urged me to run here." "We have to find you some clothes. Follow me," the priest muttered. I followed him into the little church to a back room. "Take these. They're the clothes of a young man who sadly died of an infection a few days ago. The lady I was talking with outside was his mother. Do not worry. They've been boiled." "Thank you. Water, please." The priest filled a large goblet with fresh water, which I swallowed in 2 enormous gulps. The man had a rosy face, plump and reassuring, and his smiling expression made me feel immediately welcome in that little village. I was lucky to have happened upon it. "We have to find your parents. Are you sure you cannot remember your name, or where are you from?" "No, sir. I do not remember even having existed before today." "But someone must have taught you to walk, to talk?" I shrugged, asking myself the same thing. He led me to a mirror and asked if I was able to recognize myself. For the first time, I looked at my soft features, which could have belonged to any young man of that period. I ran a finger over the arch of my eyebrows, looking closely at the reflection of my green eyes. The thin lips, the ruffled blonde hair, they were all details that failed to stimulate any memory within me. "No, I cannot recognize myself," I admitted disconsolately, after a careful analysis of that unfamiliar face. "It is not possible that in 1745 a boy could get lost in a wood. Your family could not just have abandoned you to your fate, naked into the bargain. We are not in the Middle Ages." "Did you say 1745? One of the few things I can manage to recall is that it's 1740, I exclaimed with conviction. "No, my boy. I think you've lost all memory of the past 5 years, and that some kind of trauma has made you forget what happened even before that. Most of the time, it's a temporary condition. I'm sure you'll soon be able to remember everything," he reassured me, checking under my thick hair for any signs of a scar or wound that could have been the cause of my condition. I showed him my wrist with the cut that was not completely healed and asked if he could medicate it. He disinfected it and tied it with a bandage. Father Raphael, as my kind savior was called, invited me to stay with him until I could remember who I was. A few months passed, during which I was allowed to sleep on the floor of the church, on 2 blankets that I used as a mattress and surrounded by the wooden statues of angels. Those angels did not permit me to sleep soundly during the first few nights there. I always imagined that at any moment one of them might move or turn his head to stare at me.